paid for by the campaign to elect Jeff McNeely to NC House.
Good morning, Iredell County. Here with you this morning, taking care of Iredell. Hope everybody's tuned in, watching, listening this morning. Don't really have a guest going to take calls today. My guy that I had lined up to talk with us, Jefferson Griffith, he's going to try to be on the show next week. He's the judge running for one of our appellate court spots in the state of North Carolina. It's hard to get the judges a lot of times. You know what? They actually have a job. They work. They have to hear cases. So it's hard to get them lined up, but he's going to try to work it around. He was too busy this morning. Sometimes with crime and what all going on in the different court systems, they manipulate around the schedule, and so it's hard for them to plan. So anyway, so today we're just going to talk. Sometimes I think I like these shows the best. 704-873-1400 is the number if you'd like to call in and talk and tell me what. One of the things I'd like to hear us talk about today basically is how you feel about Amy Coney Barrett, who's going to be put up for nomination for the Supreme Court. The hearing started this morning at 9 o'clock. I was trying to get with the Tillis campaign. I'd really like to have Tom back on, Senator Tillis, but he's busy into that. Not only has he got that going on, he's had a COVID-19, so he's working through that, trying to get himself better so that he can be at the hearings in person. Should be interesting. Quick update right now on COVID in the state. We're about 231,471 cases in the county, about 3,350. Hospital from last Monday, the number's up 1046 in the county. Actually, that's sort of down just a smidge, just 11. Death total 3,770 state. 43 for Iredell County. Pretty sobering numbers. Still have a hard time finding the death total and an accurate one on the DHHS website. If you go on there, it talks about 34 deaths in Iredell County. And I went on CDC and was able to pull up the state numbers because there's no state official total on the North Carolina DHHS site. So I had to get that from CDC for North Carolina and went on Iredell County website to get the 43. So don't know why they're not necessarily updating the death total, but we talked about that a couple shows ago. They did have it on there, and now it's not on there anymore. Kind of weird. The numbers seem to maybe be spiking up some. I'll be curious. We've moved into phase 3. Which has been a little bit more open. Still have some things quite constricted, but better than it was. I'll be curious to see if their science they always talked about, Governor Cooper and Dr. Mandy Cohen, will they back us back down into 2 point something, 2.84, 2.9 something? They come up with all kind of different decimal numbers during phase 2. So will we go backwards? I don't know. I think now that early voting is going to start this Thursday, I'll be surprised if any changes are made. But, it's all been about science. Just remember that. So, like I said, if anybody would like to call in this morning, we'll be glad to talk with you. Some of the things I think we need to take a look at and talk about, like I said, is the Supreme Court nomination going today. Seems to be the big hit on Amy Coney Barrett. I say you really made it in this game when they start calling you by your initials, AOC or MJ or anything like that. So she's now, if you go on and Google her and try to look for it, it's ACB. So she's ACB all of a sudden. So that means things are looking up for her because she has a nickname. All right, so acronym. So anyway, they're going after her because she's Catholic. And so she's Christian, and that seems to be the biggest problem they got with her. That she's Catholic, she's Christian, and that's bothering people. To me, I think this is a breath of fresh air, and I'm glad to see it. One thing you'll notice with Kavanaugh and now with her that there's been more appointees of Catholic. And the reason is that I have to give it to the Catholic Church. I'm Protestant, but Associate Reformed Presbyterian, but they have done a really good job with their schools, high schools, and even in their colleges, of being very, very high academically challenged, and have drawn in very good quality kids to be in these schools. That's where I think these opportunity scholarships are great. Maybe some people don't want to send their kids to a Catholic school, but I think if you're sending them to a school to get a great education, then you may want to think about that part of it. You don't have to be Catholic to go to Catholic school. They may make you participate in Catholic situations, but hey, they're Christians, y'all. So don't get that involved that they're not. They are. A good friend of mine, very devout Catholic, one of the best Christian men I know. So it's not like there's some kind of thing if they're not Protestant. You know, we've had this fight for the last 400, 500, 600 years. Ireland, Scotland, you name it. We can go all the way through to the migration over here. So I find it troubling that, you know, because she's a Christian, that they're having problems with her. And, you know, one of the things is there's called a People of Praise, a group that she has been associated with from down in New Orleans where she was at. And they're wanting to call it a cult. What it is, it's really more evangelical Catholics, actually. You know, Catholics are usually pretty reserved. I've been to quite a few Catholic services, and it's very somber experience, very quiet, very moving. You know, been to the Sistine Chapel. Got to say that right. It's not the 16th. We made some jokes about that. Being Southern, it's easy to say, but the Sistine Chapel in Italy and to the Vatican. When I took a trip to Italy a couple of years ago, and you know, quite amazing. Very, very beautiful. Hard to even explain how beautiful those different cathedrals are that we went to and got to see. Enjoyed that very much. But anyway, getting back, like I said, got some issues with her, and so we're going to see how they're going to drag her through the mud. I hope, goodness, they don't drag her through the mud like they did Brett Kavanaugh. That was the most hideous thing I think I've ever watched one human having to be put through, and the hypocrisy that you get from that it was just deafening to me, especially, you know, Joe Biden had a lady here not too long ago accuse him of improperness while a senator, and kind of had pretty much documentation at the time it happened. She waited a long time to bring it up. She didn't wait about 40 years to bring it up like the lady did with Brett Kavanaugh, but she did, and you know what? It disappeared immediately. Just gone. You know, dismissed it. No big deal. No big deal. But yet the hearsay, and not even sure with Brett Kavanaugh, they were ready to crucify that poor man, and they tried to do everything they could to ruin his reputation. So nobody should be put through what he was put through. That was so shameful, so bad. But you know, Miss Barrett is a mother of 7, and we got a caller. We'll go ahead and take it. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Yeah, this is Billy.
Hey, Billy.
How you doing today?
I'm good, Billy.
Doing good. Hey, I just got kind of a simple question. I've voted, you know, a number of years, and sometimes whenever you get to like the judges and all, it doesn't give their affiliation. And I know you can get a list of judges and things. I just wondered where I could find some information like that.
Yeah, I do know that if you're looking for conservative judges, we have a list of them along with all of our other candidates here at WSIC next door. The Republican headquarters is actually rented out a little side building over there of theirs, and I know you can get the conservatives there. This year, everything should be partisan, so you should have their party identified on the ballot. I'm pretty sure on everything, as far as the judges, everything on that ballot should be partisan. School board, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, judges and all then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything should be.
Then.
Well, Billy, let me ask you a
right.
question. I know you, and I consider you to be a very intelligent man. How do you feel about Biden and Harris? They won't answer the question whether they were going to pack the court, increase the number of chief justices because they don't like the slant that it is now. What do you feel? How's your feelings about increasing the number? It's been 150 some years since we increased the number on the Supreme Court from 7 to 9. So what's your feelings on that?
Well, I think that pretty well says it pretty plainly that they have intentions of doing something like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
they've been asked.
Like they wouldn't mind answering the question if they weren't ashamed of their answer.
That's what I feel like. They've been asked point blank many times, and they keep dodging it. You know, I like Biden's line here the other day. He says, that's exactly what Trump wants y'all to ask to divert attention away from him. And I thought, who's diverting what away from who? so I don't know how you make that into an answer, but that was his answer. So, well, let me ask you this much: do you feel like that, since the election is upon us, that they should appoint this lady as that they've nominated for the Supreme Court? Do you think we should wait till after the election? Do you just quit working?
Well, I think she would be an excellent candidate, or she is an excellent candidate, and I would be happy to see her appointed.
Well, how would you feel if the biggest, I guess, knock on you was that you were a Christian? I thought years ago we settled this with our Constitution many years ago. That you have the right to freedom of religion, but now it looks like maybe you don't have a right to freedom of religion, because if you are religious and believe you're a Christian, then obviously you're a bad person. I think that's what they're trying to describe.
No, I think they just make up their reasons for things to go. Just situation, because if I'm not mistaken, a number of those people are also, of course, apparently they're not as devout a Catholic as she is. So, but I don't know. It just seemed like they just, like I said before, they just making up their reasoning as they go, and it changes with each situation.
Well, I always love the hypocrisy that tends to come from the left, from the liberals. It's funny. Joe Biden's a Catholic, and they must like him. He's their nomination, so it's okay to have a president that's a Catholic. Now, I don't know how much he practices, because from what I've always understood the Catholic religion, they are strictly against abortion. And we well know that Joe Biden, and especially, his running mate, believe that abortion's fine right up to the very last second. So,
that's a shame.
Maybe if you're not a really good Catholic, you're okay. But if you're a good Catholic or a really good Catholic, you're not okay. So,
that's kind of what it looks like.
I just have a hard time. So they'll take somebody that's not doing a real good job of being a Christian. But if you're doing a good job of being a Christian, then we got to watch you. You're in trouble. You're going to cause problems.
Well, they don't want anybody in there that's not going to vote their way. And since she has more of a moral conscience to her, then they probably figure she won't vote for them in anything they want, because she has more morals than they do.
Well, but to me, I think that I would want my judge to be a morally decent, law-abiding person. But evidently, those different things don't seem to come in play for one of the top judicial people in our land. So I guess we want people of lesser character. Is what it sounds like, at least from that side.
Oh, exactly. Well, just look at what they're looking for. They want to raise taxes and take control and tell everybody how to live. They want to be in charge. That's the thing that's driving them. They want power, and they don't care how they get it, apparently.
And, one thing I always think, and I like to think of it sort of as myself too, I always like to say that saying that I've heard President Trump say, so they're not after me. They're after y'all. I'm just in the way. And that's kind of how I feel as your representative here in North Carolina, that they're not after me necessarily when they come on me. They're after y'all. I'm just trying to slow them down. I'm just trying to be the body check in between to keep them from coming and getting you. So
what I really feel, maybe it's just my intuition, I don't know, but I really feel that Trump's going to win this one. But what happens in 4 more years? Because they're not going to give up just because Trump wins this time.
Well, I said it the other day on Facebook and got some response. I'll say it again right now. If you're a progressive, I think you sleep really well at night, because the worst case scenario that you get in an election is good quality people willing to work hard to try to save our Constitution, to try to make our country as best we know how, make it great, keep it great. If they win, they get the crazy people they've been wanting all along. So how can you lose in that, in my opinion? Now, the right, the conservative people like us, we have a whole lot at stake in this election, a whole lot at stake. And I saw something the other day where it said last election, over 54 million evangelistic Christians stayed at home and didn't go to the polls.
Oh, no.
That's what it said last election. So that 54 million people motivate themselves, get up off the couch or go out the door, and they go down and they vote. That changes everything. That changes everything. So I put that challenge out there. If you're an evangelistic Christian, I think you need to be involved in this election and need to at least look at the facts.
I think if people want this country to remain the way it is, then they need to get out and vote. If they like this country the way it is, they need to get out and vote. If they think that somewhere like China or Russia is a good place to live, then let the Democrats get it, because that's what they want to turn it into. But if you want to keep the country strong and conservative, and where people care about each other, and then go vote for Trump.
Well,
the way I feel.
I think the choices are pretty obvious, depending on how you feel, but I think they're pretty obvious. So, hey, Billy, I appreciate you calling in today. Thank you.
Oh, sure. Good talking with you, Jeff.
Good talking
Have
with
a
you.
good day, man.
You take care, man. See you. So, once again, like I said, and here, talking about Amy Coney Barrett, she's a mother. She's 48 years old, so she'll be one of the younger ones on the court. She has 7 kids, and 2 of them are adopted. I just don't know how many you can throw many stones at this lady. I really don't. I always say if the worst thing you can call me is a Christian, then I'm doing pretty good. But, in the debate the other night, I watched the vice president debate, and they flat blank asked, Pence asked Kamala Harris, are y'all going to pack the court? And, she worked around that question. She dodged it, and she never did come up with the answer for that. Now, she did say they were going to repeal the Donald Trump tax breaks that all of us got in 2017. She did say that, but yet in their tax documents, they didn't say that. They said they were only going to go after people that were made $400,000 or more a year. We're going to pay more taxes. It's the old, we're going to make those rich people pay. We're going to fix it so they pay. Well, I'm telling you, people that have money can also afford good accountants, good tax lawyers, and they're set up in their businesses. They're figuring out how to ways not to pay tax. When those people won't get the money out of them, they're going to come for you. When they take away the Trump tax credit, they're going to get money from me, and they're going to get money from all you. About $2,000 more is what it meant to me, just on personal, not counting my business. We got another caller. Who we got, Jorge? Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Hey, Jeff. The next time you're on, I'd like for you to talk about the health care insurance that Trump has planned. From what I read in it, and it's basically about the same thing from 2017, that if anybody misses a payment on their health care insurance or lapses in any way, that the pre-existing conditions will fall back in. There won't be any when they renew a policy. And another question I have is about the rule, or I think Azar is working on it, for Medicare medications that are so expensive. Something about we can get a voucher and get it from overseas and then go to our pharmacy and pick it up. I don't understand that at all.
Now, that part I haven't heard. The other is not even confirmed either. We have not really seen the total push out of the health care that the president's talked about. He's just showed little bits and pieces. That's
what scares me. The date for the medication that he's talking about, for Medicare, and I guess it would be for everyone else. I don't know. But that's on the DHHS site.
Yeah.
And it talks about it in links.
What?
So I'd like to know exactly what that means. I don't understand why we should have to go to the government and get a voucher and get something.
From what I understood,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but from what I've understood on the medication side, he's already done some stuff with executive orders where it will allow you can order actually drugs. The biggest problem was that at one time we were able to get medications. You could order them from Mexico or you could order them from Canada. Canada was a big one, and then they stopped that with the Affordable Care Act. It stopped, so you couldn't go outside.
No, I don't know that that's true because I know people who do order from Canada, and I know that people were going down to Mexico to get their insulin. But it's just something that I don't understand at all. And Azar says he is working on it, so I kind of like a clear idea of what exactly that means.
I'll have to do some research.
I take two pretty expensive, high-dollar medications, and they've never come down.
Are you on Medicare now?
Yes.
You are? Okay. All right. Medicare, I thought Medicare should do some kind of supplement for those, doesn't it? Or does it?
Well, I have Part D, which I pay for, but they've never come down. They've gone up. Maybe cough syrups come down. I don't know. But it's something that the government seems to skip over when they're talking about health care plans and health care medications.
I'll try to do some research and see what's out there with what President Trump's proposing. I do know that coming up in November, the later part of November, there is a court case going in front of the Supreme Court on the Affordable Care Act, and so
I know.
So we'll just have to see how this plays out. But I'll try to do a little more research and see what I come up with and see what he's saying.
Well, I appreciate that because I was not happy with the 2017 bill that came up back then. And the new one, which is the Graham something else, doesn't look any better either. So I just wish they'd tweak Obamacare, which so many people do have, and get some lower payments out there for people.
Well, that's what I've said all along. I would have been better off to have adopted somebody that had pre-existing conditions almost to a point than to pay the premiums that I've had to pay. It's for a family of just three now. Still have my youngest daughter on. My son, he's on his own, but she's 22 now, and it was about close to $1,800 a month, and we're all three healthy people fairly. So it was brutal. To me, it was.
Well, my
brutal.
daughter and son-in-law pay $1,200 a month for each. I mean, together they pay $1,200 a month. So it's not cheap for anyone.
No, it's they're taking my money and they're helping subsidize somebody else. It's real simple. Mm-hmm. It's real simple. But
I don't mind that at all. So far I'm paying for it. It's just aggravating, and I can't understand the voucher thing. So if you could explain that next time, I certainly would appreciate it. And I have a cold right now. So.
That's fine. Hope you get better. I'll see what I can come up with, see if I can get some facts and figures and see what I can come up with.
I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
This is Thomas Templeton. I was wanting to comment about this. You're talking about Joe Biden being a Catholic.
Yes, sir.
Well, Nancy Pelosi is too. I don't know what kind of Catholics they are, but she's always praying that he'll die every day and he'll, something happen to him, he'll get sick or whatever. I don't know what. Must be a new strand of Catholics they got.
Well, and maybe that's what the Democrats are afraid of. There's so many different forms, it sounds like, of Catholicism. It could go from one end to the other. So I'm not sure. I'm not beating up on Catholic people by no means in this. So don't.
Well, I'm not either, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying that she says that she prays every day about, something about Trump, he'll die or get sick or just anything. But she's always praying every day. So
Yeah.
I call that a devout Catholic that would pray every day.
But for what she's praying for, I'm not so sure how devout that is. I do know this now.
Yeah.
Now she's, the impeachment didn't work, so now she's threatening with the 25th Amendment that he's mentally not stable. I think I call this warming up in the bullpen. Is what I think she's doing, because I think she's going to get this perfected, and if Biden wins, I'm pretty sure that's who she's going to replace in the game with. Not so much Trump,
That's exactly
but Biden. Right. So I think she's getting this worked up, and she goes, "Well, we were going to do this to Trump, so it's okay if we do it to Biden." Because I think that's her game plan. He's going to. You may elect him for a little while, but I don't think he's going to be there long. I think there's more.
No, he'll never serve as president. They'll kick him out before he gets started.
Well, that's what like I said, they tried to get rid of Trump from the very first day of the inauguration on down. So I'm sure that they'll figure out their way. If you can't get rid of your enemy, you can sure do your own self in. So they'll sure work on their own people. So, Thomas, I appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, who we got? Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
It's the sick and tired patriot. How you doing, Jeff?
Man, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't get to you last week. Got in there when you had a guest, so I couldn't get you on. Sorry about that.
I know.
What you got?
Man, there's so much to touch on. Where do we start?
Well, one thing I'm trying to keep on topic a little today. How do you feel about the president nominating somebody for the Supreme Court? Do you just quit working because the election's coming, or you keep doing your job?
Hey, you got to keep at it, and I'm proud to finally see. Let's get back to our roots that this country was founded on, and that's God-given rights and freedoms, and the being able to do what you want to do.
Well,
by getting this Supreme Court picked back in there, maybe we can get this country steered back toward what it was founded on.
Well, it's funny. We were founded basically on religious freedom, but once again, it looks like this woman's in trouble because she's religious.
That's what's the good thing about it, because it's going to prevail. That's going to be put in everybody's face, and it's going to be shown how it's going to prevail.
Well,
Jeff,
I tend to think that once one part of this country would like to see God done away with almost. They want to put him on the back burner.
I think there's a bigger portion, that quiet majority they call, that's going to come out and show the country what we are really made of. That we do believe in God, and we faith and put all of that where it belongs.
Well, one thing too, I want to say, last time everybody said, Brett Kavanaugh, he's a bad man. Make sure I keep the word man in there. That we're a bad man. So I want to see how
it's just sick. It is really sick from day one when Trump come down them escalators. We was told to start doing some research. And ever since then, I have looked at problems for our country, Jeff, and not only looked at them, I put them under a microscope.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way people need to start doing. Don't just look at a problem we have. You got to put it under a microscope. And when you do that, you'll see that we're in a lot more problems than just health care.
Oh yeah.
If we could get our jobs back, get manufactured back, all that stuff will plane out. It'll work out. But we've got to be making something. We got to be manufacturing something. This not producing anything. He said, not everybody's going to be a lawyer. Not everybody's going to be a doctor. We got to have people working and making things. And I'm 48, Jeff. Over my life, I've seen that systematically, and looking back, doing research, it was systematically took down on purpose. There's no doubt in my mind about it.
Yeah.
Every manufacturing facility across America was systematically taken down by this deep state, so-called. Me myself, it's where I stand on it, what I think it is. But getting this manufacturing, I feel like Trump is a true independent, more than anything. And we together have got to stop this division. We got to work together, and I think it all come together.
Well, they've tried everything they can to drive wedges everywhere they can.
Yep.
In race, in religion, in this, in that. They've tried that.
That's what's got to stop. That has got to stop.
I mean, I'm proud of my country. I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud I live in this land. And I think right now we're teaching a lot of our children that we shouldn't be proud, that you shouldn't be proud to be American.
That's a good place to start is what we are teaching our kids in school. That's where we got to start.
Well, they've been indoctrinated for probably the last 25, 30 years in the other direction.
Exactly. There is so big of a skills gap. I mean, it's got to start from kindergarten and go to the 12th grade. That's who needs to really, I think, by the time the 12th grade comes around. I mean, I think our high schools need to be running our elections. You know how thought and said we need to have more elections, and I feel like more democracy is going to balance out the republic, and that's the only way that's going to. That to me, there needs to be so much voting. I don't understand. It's like that judge overthrowing the voter ID. How can one person have that kind of authority?
Well,
I don't see it.
And to tell you the truth, the problem there is that was in the first level of court, and Josh Stein said okay, because he didn't want it.
Dropped the ball
and
went home. That's getting back to the Republic side right there.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, one person can be bribed, bought, blackmailed, or bribed, that should have never been dropped.
Well, to me, that was a Supreme Court issue. That should have went all the way to the Supreme Court, but it died in the first realm. Well,
it's a people issue is the thing.
It is.
I mean, it's a people issue, and we're going to have to quit just sitting back and letting this stuff keep on happening.
Well,
I mean, at what point? I mean, it's going to get to a point people aren't going to sit on their hands no more, Jeff.
I know.
And I think everybody has so much faith. That we're going to win this election. We're going to show the world, I believe.
Well, everybody's working against us. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
And I don't believe these polls that have come out. I think that's a way to deter people to go.
God help us if it don't go our way.
Well, they love to tell about these polls, how far they're this behind, they're that behind. I watch these polls and I keep thinking to myself, I said, if I didn't have some intelligence, I probably would say the heck with it. We're so far behind, ain't no way in the world it's going to help. And they're doing that. They always talk about voter suppression, but telling those polls like they are, that's their own way of trying to do voter suppression. But, if you ask them, no.
And another thing to look at is look at what they have done in the past, this deep state, so-called deep state. They're not going to just kowtow over this.
No, they're fighting. They're fighting hard.
If we was to win all these elections and stuff, you think they're just going to just roll over? Yeah. This stuff goes all the way back to our independence, the first war.
Well, like I said, I think
1776.
Khrushchev said it best in the 50s there when he gave that UN speech. He said, "Your children and your grandchildren, we will own them, and we will never fire a shot." And that's what we've kind of done. We've allowed brainwashing instead of bullets to get us.
Yep.
So we got to be careful. Be careful.
Everybody needs to do and make sure you're getting good information, but you cannot trust.
Do your own research. That's what I do.
Exactly. You have got to do your own research.
Do your own research. I do it on all my stuff I talk about.
Matter of fact, this past weekend, I hadn't watched cable in a long time, but we literally took it out of our house, took it plumb out. But Jeff, have a good week.
You too.
Good talking to you, buddy.
All right, we've got a vote coming up starting Thursday.
Yep. Everybody get there.
That's right. See you, man. Bye. Who we got, Jorge? I know. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Sorry to hold you so long there. Who's this?
That's quite all right. This is Joe Ladd. How you doing today?
I'm good, Joe. How are you?
Good. 3 points. Number one, voting procedure. If I were to, and my wife were to vote early in the election, and I apologize if somebody's already asked this question, but I need to know.
Yeah.
If we go and we vote early,
okay,
is our vote counted in the general election, or is it counted as one of the absentee ballots, counted 2 or 3 days or a week later? Do you know?
In early voting, you are counted in the general election. It is tabulated then. Now, they do not.
Okay, so we can feel confident that when we go to vote early, say next week or whenever it actually opens up in North Carolina, that our vote's going to count that day of the election.
Yep, and it starts this Thursday. It's this Thursday, 8 o'clock.
So we'll be voting Thursday because it's just more convenient to vote at my convenience instead of on election day.
Well, and that's why we're doing it. And I suggest people, that we've got a long window of opportunity here to go and vote early. You can pick your times. You can pick whatever time. There's not going to be the crowds that I think there will be on election day. So if you're worried about the virus, I think this is your opportunity. And I've told a lot of people, if you're terrified of the virus, and some need to be, that have, pre-existing conditions, issues, you can go and you can get curbside voting. So if you're not afraid to get in your car, you can ride down there and they will come out. And a lot of people said, oh, well, you got to be handicapped. Well, with the ADA Act, they're not legally able to even ask you what your physical or handicap is that you have. If you request curbside, they have to give you curbside. So you can't get that.
I could get a cheeseburger, some fries, and a chocolate shake at the same time.
Well, now that's going to be a little troublesome right there. But
I can bring it with me.
You can bring it with you. You can eat while you vote in your car.
All right.
You can do
that.
Number
2. All right. Point number 2. I don't know how many kids Donald Trump has. 4 or 5.
Think about
from a couple of different marriages.
I think 6, 5 or 6.
Okay, 5 or 6. Well, I know at least 4 or 5 of them. They're out there actively working towards getting their father reelected, trying to get the message out there. All right, that's all great. That's all good. It's free labor, I guess, if you really look at it.
Yep.
How many of Joe Biden's kids are actively working to get him to be a president?
Well, I will say this much in Joe's defense. He had 2 that passed away, but he still has, I think, 2 others. So, but one of them I don't think really wants to be on the campaign trail because we keep wanting to ask him questions about some of his financial dealings.
Okay, I get it. Now, I just wanted to know why they weren't out there, but now I think I get the message.
Yeah.
All right, now the third point that I'll make is this. Let's just say anybody that's here in Iredell County, anywhere in North Carolina, anywhere in America, it doesn't really matter. Let's say that they have some issues in their neighborhood. There's some not so savory people in the neighborhood, whatever, or there's some bickering and fussing going on, and they happen to have a cousin, an uncle, a brother, whoever that's willing to come to their house and just kind of protect them because he's well versed in martial arts, or maybe he's well versed in how to use handguns or firearms, whatever. He's basically just there to protect your family, okay?
Yep.
He's not charging you anything. He's just there to help you because he can.
Yep.
Maybe he's military trained, okay? The bottom line is he was willing to come to your house and protect your family, okay? And he's there, and there's a bunch of ruckus going out there in the front yard, out in the street, down the street, up street, down the other way, and you're a little bit concerned, but he's not. He's there guarding your door, and he's taking care of your family at no charge to you. But he gets a little upset, and he says a couple of cuss words, and he says a couple of things that, maybe that's not exactly what he should be saying at the time. Are you going to go up there and tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, could you please watch your language just a little bit? He says, wait a minute, I'm guarding the door. I'm protecting you from everything that's going on out there, and I just want to get my job done. You understand that, right? Well, could you keep your tone down just a little bit? Look, I'm trying to save your life. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You're going to let him do his job, and I think that's exactly what we should be doing with our president. Does he do everything right? Does he say everything right? Absolutely not, because he ain't perfect. There's only one perfect person that's been on this earth, and he died about 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, we crucified him, the last perfect one.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's okay. It's okay to say something, and maybe it's not okay to crucify him. But anyway, that was part of the plan.
That's the way it went.
Let the man do his job. You might not like the process. You might not like the way he says something or the way that he does something, but the bottom line is he didn't get to become a millionaire or a billionaire. If he is a billionaire, I don't really care. What's the difference between a multimillionaire and a billionaire? A pillow is only so soft. A steak is only so thick. A house is only so big. So the bottom line is he is successful. He knows how to manage money. And by cracky, that's one thing that we need in the United States of America is somebody that can count. Okay? And he can do that. So we need to let him do his job and not be worried about how he does his job. Be concerned about the results and not necessarily the process. And I'm off my soapbox.
I'm right. I tell you what, that's all I've always said. A watchdog barks at everybody. And sometimes you don't want him barking at your grandma, or sometimes you don't want him barking at your niece. But a watchdog barks at everybody. That's his job.
You got it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Bye. See. Hey, this is Representative Jeff McNeely. Who we got?
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Miss Deborah, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. I wanted to touch down on that health care, the Obama health care.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have spoke at different events, and I heard so many people saying they lost their doctors and their insurance premiums went sky high, and even my own doctor quit. He was saying that he regretted quitting, but at the same time, he couldn't afford that health care of the last president, the Obamacare.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people, they don't understand. They're not going to cover a lot of the health causes that they have. They go to the doctor. Heck, it's hard to find a good doctor to start with, and then you're just shift as a number through the system. To whatever doctor, and then they don't take blood, they don't do this, they don't do that, and I don't know. I'm very concerned about this health care. It does need to be reformed, and I believe Trump's got a better plan.
Well, here's the thing. We set this up because they said, there were so many people that didn't have health care. And so now what they did, they went and they fined you. And the way they fined you, and I'm saying that in not fine, but in fines, was basically take away your child tax credit. So in other words, a lot of people who were poor got a fairly decent sized return on their income tax, even though they sent nothing in hardly. And so then they said, we'll dock that if you won't get the insurance. But, the big fight now I hear from all the Democrats in our state is they want the Republicans, they want us, the conservatives, to go ahead and raise the level of poverty up so that we can capture 500,000 more people on Medicaid. So, but when you raise that poverty level up to capture Medicaid, you also capture them in other entitlement programs. So you're not just increasing your cost necessarily on Medicaid, you're increasing your cost on the WIC programs, on all the different stuff. I've told everybody, and the big thing you keep seeing, I saw a flyer come out from Roy Cooper the other day, and I hate to get off on a Medicaid thing, but it come out talking about how Dan Forrest will leave you without medical insurance, whatever. If you are out of work and your income qualifies you for Medicaid, guess what? You'll get it. You'll get it. But what we don't want to do is take people that have insurance policies already because they had to get them because of Obamacare, and you would be fined if you didn't, to drop theirs and have to go into these programs. We have people in that safety net that are already there. If you're making a lower wage and still not qualifying for Medicaid, you will qualify for a premium that is so cheap for Obamacare, it will be with like $10 and $15, $20 a month, to get the health care. So their whole scheme, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It sounds great on paper, looks good, what it is we're going to try to buy 500,000 votes in the middle here because we're going to give you something. It's the old game of swap around and shell game basically. So we'll give you this, but we're going to take it over here. So
exactly. And the touchdown on that debate between Pence and Harris.
Yes, ma'am.
It was like everything was a joke to that lady, that Miss Harris. Everything was like a joke. We really need to keep Trump in office and Mike Pence. They've got this country's best interest. And
I hope everybody looked at Kamala Harris the other night and looked at her real close, because in my opinion, the odds of her being president are about 7 times greater than the odds of Mike Pence being president. Because I do not think Joe Biden will last 4 years.
I don't either.
And so they need to understand he has picked probably one of the more radical vice president candidates that we've ever had in Kamala Harris. She is for everything that Bernie Sanders and that whole crowd of progressives is for. She's for the Green New Deal, which they're talking about within less than 20 years doing away with fossil fuels. Mm-hmm. And so I'll tell you what, and when 2 cloudy days come in a row, we'll see how much, and the wind don't blow, we'll see if you can turn your lights on or not. They're talking about doing away with planes and cars. And I love that whole side talks about it, but yet they get in a plane and fly to wherever they do to give a speech about how we're going to do away with planes.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy is outrageous. It's outrageous.
It is, and then they were talking about the farmers. We got to look after the farmers. And, Trump does try to help the farmers. I mean, the man is open to great ideas. He listens to the people, and so do you, Danforth. I mean, the list goes on, and we just need to vote in the best. And simply said, Miss Harris, I looked at that woman, as she said closely. Every question that was asked, it was just like it was a joke. It was like,
I felt like everything they asked her was beneath her. She had this is beneath me to have to answer this, but I will.
That's what I got out of it, the same thing. It was Mike Pence, he really stood out, and I thank God for him, and Donald Trump. I'm not going to tie your line up anymore. I just wanted to call in and tell the people that this health care needs to be reformed, and Trump's got a better plan according to the people. They want this more than anything because they're paying too much money out to the system.
Well, I'm going to dig in and try to get a little information, and hopefully next week I'll have a little info on what exactly Trump is proposing on his health plan, and we can talk about it.
Take care. God bless. And keep praying.
Thank you. I appreciate it, ma'am. See you. I'm probably not going to take any more calls because we're getting close to the end of the hour here. Just wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the different things going on. This is going to be really critical, in my opinion, this nomination to the Supreme Court. And, I guess the question is, if it's time for you to about retire from your job, do you coast the last couple months at your job and just sit there at your desk and read the paper and go on the internet, or do you do your work? And I think if you've been elected, you go about your business and do your work. And so I think they have every right to set this Supreme Court justice. And we'll see. I believe that if they don't have a Supreme Court, if the progressives win and don't have a Supreme Court they like, then they'll try to do everything they can to get one they do like. And if that means adding more justices, then I think they'll do it. I don't put anything past them. They tell you one thing about their taxes, but then she said the other day that they definitely were going to do away with the Trump tax breaks that we got. So that means you're going to pay more taxes. And you're probably not going to make $400,000 a year, but you're going to pay more taxes because they're going to change. They're going to take that away. So that means your taxes are going to go back up. So, it's funny. They don't want to come out and talk about it, so you have to read between the lines. But it's pretty evident of what they got on their mind. I know in the paper today, Statewide Record and Landmark, there's an article in there, and my opponent that's actually running against me for the 84th District, he listed out his things for the questions, and I listed out mine, and I read his, and they were fine. And the question is, do you want more government? Do you want bigger government, or do you want smaller government and less government? And some may say, hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we need the government to take care of us, and we need the government to do this. What we need the government to do is to set up basically the guidelines as they can and allow us to work in them and open our businesses. And then the consumer, your customer, who patronizes you, just like I have them at G&M Milling, if they don't feel comfortable coming to your establishment or doing business with you, then you should let that business owner know that, and maybe they can make special allowances for you to allow you to still buy from them. You know, I tell you the truth, when this all started, I didn't see Walmart or a lot of the rest of them really doing a whole lot of things different. Yeah, they said they were cleaning more. You know, now we've gone to wearing the mask. That come about late. Now social distancing was there. We tried to put stickers on the floor. I think everybody's done what they can, but I don't think it's up to the government to shut your business down. I don't think that's fair. I think they give you a chance to show that you can perform safely in this environment and allow you to open your business. And if your patrons don't feel comfortable, then don't go. Do not support that business. But if they do, or they want to continue to support that business, talk to the people and find out how y'all can come to some kind of medium where they can get their product, their service to you in a safe manner that you feel good with. But shutting a business down is not what the government's about. If it's doing its legal job, that's not what it's about. And I noticed my opponent talked about how North Carolina has some of the lowest payments in unemployment. Okay, that may be true. We also had basically the lowest unemployment in the Southeast. Georgia was 1/10 of a point. They were at 3.7 and we were at 3.8 before this pandemic hit. And when unemployment's that low, that means we're getting people motivated to get jobs. And I can tell you right now, when you pay somebody to stay at home, and we just had this similar situation where the government come and actually paid you more to stay home than you made. And how hard it is now that we have opened some things back up to find employees to come back to work. And I'm not talking about ones that have, illnesses or pre-existing conditions or underlying conditions. I'm talking about people that are healthy. But when they can make that $600 plus their unemployment and they go back to their job and they're only going to make $300, $400 a week after taxes and everything take home, it's probably a pretty tough sale. It's a pretty tough sale. So the more you supply in unemployment payments, you need to supply something that allows people to live, but you don't need them to allow them to make the choice to not want to go to work. It's not there to be the income that offsets their income. It's there to be an assistance until you can get back in the workforce for whatever reason. And that's the way we set up unemployment, and that's what we've done. So you can read his and you can read mine, and you can decide. He thinks that the governor, Mandy Cohen, did a really good job. I think in some instances they did. I think in a lot of instances there was no science behind it. I think, as Governor Cooper said the other day, when it come to how many people you let into a football stadium, he's come up with 7% on 60,000 seat stadiums, and they asked him where that come from, and he said it just felt right. So I think you had one person that made a whole lot of decisions that just felt right. I think we need a little bit more help than that. I think you need other people involved in it. This is not a dictatorship. We have a republic that's elected by a democracy. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, dear Lord, I thank you. I thank you for the many, many blessings that you have bestowed on this country, this state, this county. I thank, dear Lord, that you watch over us. I pray you lead and guide us that are elected to make wise decisions to do your work for you. Dear Lord, I pray that we are always mindful of all that we do and know that you are watching us. Lord, I pray you take this virus from us. But if not, dear Lord, then I pray you be merciful to us. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. All right, folks, hope you tune in to me next week. I should have Judge Jefferson Griffith on, running for the Court of Appeals. Until then, I look forward to seeing from you. Give me a holler. See ya.
on this episode of Pawn Stars.
Wow. A really old John Deere motor that can make ice cream.
I absolutely love it. This must have been one of the last hit-and-miss motors they made, right?
Pretty close. I thought we were talking about ice cream. Wow, the Shelby Gt350. Now that's a car. This thing is nice.
Only 1,175 made total. My asking on the car is $125,000.
Whoa. At my shop, family comes first and money comes second, depending on who you ask. But the best part, you never know what's going to come through that door. This is Pawn Stars. A guy came in the shop and said he's got an old John Deere engine out in the back. Hopefully it's something cool and not a piece of junk like I see all the time. Wow. That is,
We got a really old John Deere motor that can make ice cream.
what's this thing? What horsepower?
1.5.